Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Noir City, back here at the Egyptian Theater. I have been doing this now for 26 years, I am happy to say. So the movie that you're about to see came out 4 years before that, before I started doing this, and it qualifies as one of the newest films we have ever shown at the Noir City Film Festival. And this is a very special day because I am so thrilled that the director of this film, John Dahl, is here in the audience with us today and will be engaging in a Q&A with me afterwards. And a nice surprise, I found out that John is not the only terrific director in the audience today. The co-star of this film, Peter Berg, is also in the house today, who went on to have a fabulous directing career of his own. It's a significant film because it's kind of a landmark in what I call the neo-noir renaissance, because thanks to this film, and John I'm sure will address this, how tough it is to sell clever, smart, minimally cast noir films. It's where directors get their start because they don't cost a lot to make, but they are tough to make the suits understand what they're dealing with. This film was miraculous in that all the odds were against it and it broke through. And largely, I mean, the script is great, John's direction is fantastic, but it really was the performance of Linda Fiorentino, the magnetism and charisma playing this landmark femme fatale in this film that really made this the success that it was and remains. So that's all I'm going to say for now, because you're going to get to hear a lot more from the horse's mouth after the show. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy The Last Seduction. Those of you who know that the Film Noir Foundation presents this, we rescue and restore films, but we also publish a quarterly magazine, the Noir City magazine. And for about 6 or 7 years now, we've been bestowing an honor on various writers and directors, calling them modern noir masters. And in 2022, the man who made this film was our modern noir master for films like Kill Me Again and Red Rock West and The Last Seduction and Unforgettable and Joyride. And he really is, most of the stuff that he has done in feature films and his incredible television work is certainly noir stained, if not full on noir. Ladies and gentlemen, John Dahl. That was a pleasure visiting that again in a 35 millimeter print, no less.
Yeah. You can tell by the film weave.
Exactly. I was so entranced by her performance because it's just like there are those matches of character and actor, and this is certainly one of them. Did you realize when she came in to interview for this that, like, wow, this is Bridget?
Yeah, I'd like to. I think, is John Shestek out there? There he is. So John and I had a meeting with Linda, and she was incredible. I think she walked out of the room and we both looked at each other and said, wow, she's got to have that part. She was that good. Interesting, yeah, so, I mean, she was just kind of amazing in the interview, and the one line she said was, one of the things I like about the script is I've always played the pretty girl in the movie, or I played the damsel in distress, but in this movie I get to play the man. Yes. Which she did really well. Yes. I'd also like to say, I had a meeting with Peter Berg, and he came into my office and he sat there for an hour and explained the movie to me. I've never had a meeting like that with an actor before, and I'm not surprised at all that he's become an amazing director on his own right. But the thing is, you kind of needed to have Peter Berg and a guy like Peter in the movie to make Linda so good, and Bill Pullman. So the three of them really sort of bolstered the whole thing. I love Bill Pullman's sense of comedy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember this, Peter, but there was a moment where all the sexual escapades that take place. The line in the script, I think, was, well, fuck you. Excuse my language. And that when we did that, it just seemed wrong. So I said, maybe just try, I think, as I recall, I think I might have said, you got to be Jimmy Stewart in the movie. Do you remember that, Peter? And I said, why don't you just say, well, screw you? Because it just seemed wrong to have him. So he had to kind of play this nice guy that was always getting kind of steamrolled. But anyway, Peter was, I mean, really, it's a nice, I mean, Linda was amazing, but, the three of them were fantastic together.
Yeah, and I do want to give you a shout out, Peter, because it really is an incredible performance, because that's a character in film noir that is so essential, and that's usually the part played by the woman.
Yes.
Right? Like Linda's playing the man and Peter is kind of playing the woman. Like, I have some kind of moral compass. What's wrong with you? Aren't you human? You know? I don't know that anybody's ever done that character better than Peter does in this movie. It is
Pretty amazing.
he is so ingenuous.
Well, I think when I first read the script, I just thought, this woman is horrible. I wanted to see her like driving away, and I wanted to have like a garbage truck just smash into the limousine. And then I started thinking, but it's amazing that slap that Bill Pullman does at the beginning. Yeah, I didn't realize there was that many slaps in the movie, but and they looked like we did those on camera. But when I realized, well, actually, the protagonist in a way in the movie is really Peter's character, and you had to kind of you had to have something for him, and she was really the antagonist in a way, and of course, Bill was the pivotal character. That's how I kind of squared it in my mind, at least.
And I was amazed to learn that Bill Pullman was your teacher in college. Is that right?
Yeah, I of course grew up in Montana, and I went to Montana State Film School, and I was trying to learn more about acting. So I took a theater class, and there was this young adjunct professor there, Bill Pullman. So I took like an acting class from him.
How old was he? Couldn't have been much older than you.
Not really, because I think he had just finished graduate school, or maybe he had finished. He has a graduate degree in acting, so he probably went to 6 years of school and kind of got this opportunity to come to Montana. Another thing I realized that actually Bill's dad was a doctor. So I hadn't forgotten, and I realized that in this movie, Bill plays a doctor, which is kind of interesting. I tried to talk him into doing a role in my senior film, which he, rightfully is skirted, because that was. But anyway, when he, I'd kind of stayed in touch with him, and when he called Dave Warfield, my writing partner at the time, and he was telling us, well, I'm in Los Angeles, and he said, I'm promoting this movie called Ruthless People, and I said, wow, that's amazing. You're like in a Danny DeVito movie, and so of course we loved the movie, and I thought, it's like it was funny. Bill is a really great dramatic actor, but he also has a sense of humor, and I think he just kind of played it really nicely. Like that scene at the end when he gets hit in the head. It's just fantastic. Yeah.
And he's such an interesting. He seems so plain, like he can project that, but he has this weird, quirky undercurrent in his when he does Lost Highway. It's like, well, there you go. Yeah. But they're all fantastic. J.T. Walsh is great in the film. The actor who plays the detective,
Bill Nunn.
Bill Nunn, he's great. He's just great. And I love when she goes, it's motherfucker this, motherfucker that. That was great. So I have to mention the script, Steve Branchick.
Steve Branchick, yeah.
How did the script come to you? Just talk a little bit about the development of this, because I teased at the top that, this was a tough one to get off the ground, and here we are celebrating it all these years later.
I was involved with propaganda films, and I had written a movie for Steve and Yanni Sigvatson and Steve Golan, and then Dave and I, Kill Me Again, and then also Red Rock West. So I'd done 3 movies with those, with the same people. And as I'm finishing up Red Rock West, which was kind of a long process, I got sent this script. I think maybe John sent it to me. I walked into the editing room, and there was the second assistant editor named Shannon. And she says, hi, and I said, hello. And she says, I have a special skill. What's that? I can write backwards. Oh, okay. So she wrote backwards. So then cut to reading the script, and there's this huge, character point where Linda has to write backwards, Wendy Croy. And I thought, as I'm reading it, normally that sort of thing would have thrown me out of a script, but I said, yeah, I know somebody that writes backward, great. So I'm just down with the script. And actually, Shannon came over and did the insert of writing backwards. So, just like a lot of things kind of like lined up reading the script, I thought it was kind of funny. I actually really didn't think of it as a noir movie, really. I was thinking of it as kind of like...
No, you name-check Double Indemnity right in the movie.
Well, and then the insurance business part of it. But I thought of it as like Ruthless People. And then there was this cue that I found in Tucker that was like, had a clarinet part in it. And I thought, if it had this kind of bouncy, fun music. So it just kind of came together. And I think, we talked to Steve Brancic about, he had really sort of thought of it as body heat. And I think... Basic Instinct, yes. Yes. And then I think he came to the set one day and we were doing the hospital scene. Do you remember that, John? And he was watching that scene with the detective and in the script, so it's like, motherfucker this and motherfucker that, and then the cops, it's just like in the movies, yeah. I said, that seemed, I thought that was funny, so I think once he saw it standing up, he totally got it, but great, I don't know, it's a wonderful script, it's so much fun to watch it because it's so cause and effect, and I have to give a shout out to Eric Beeson, I think that Eric is here too. The editing is fantastic, I love the way it kind of moves along.
This is great. There's like a whole Last Seduction reunion here.
Well, it's not every day you get to watch a movie that you made over 30 years ago. So at this beautiful theater. So
what was your? And I guess I'm throwing this out to the class since you're. What was your expectation for this? Because there was a lot of stuff that carries with the reputation of this film in that all of a sudden it became like a critical success, but you had a hurdle because of HBO's involvement, because it was made for television. And so Linda couldn't get nominated for an Academy Award, which was too bad, really.
Yeah, I don't know, what was our expectations, John? I can't even remember. I think we just thought it was, we had so much fun making it. It was silly and fun, and it was great to go to work every day when we were making it. And I think we didn't actually test this movie. It's the only movie I've ever made where we didn't actually put it in front of an audience beforehand. But one thing that Eric, suggested, and we did this pretty religiously. Once a week we would watch it on Friday afternoon. So we would, and anybody we could drag into a screening room, we'd bring them in, and we kind of were sort of testing it the whole time. But I love the pace, and of course the great Joe Vitarelli soundtrack. Just makes it really I know, fun to watch. So
I just wanted to ask about that because I really do enjoy this score very much. And what was your decision-making process with that? Because it's not a typical noir kind of score or anything. It's bouncy and almost playful, given the dark subject matter.
Yeah, again, it kind of goes back to this little piece of score that I found from Tucker. And I guess what I liked about it because it had a clarinet.
The Coppola.
The Coppola film. Yeah, I want to say Joe Jackson did that soundtrack, but I'm not exactly sure. But anyway, there was a clarinet in it, and what I liked about the clarinet is when you think about New York City, I think my mind at least immediately goes to Rhapsody in Blue, with the clarinet in it, and of course Woody Allen playing the clarinet. So it just seemed like kind of a, we sort of started with that. And I think we temped with some of that stuff from Tucker, and we also temped with Fire Walk With Me. I think it was our darker score, Maybe actually Eric can remember more of that. But I think Joe did some test stuff for us, and we kind of started to kind of put that in eventually. But it's interesting when you make movies, we spend 90% of our time listening to temp tracks, and then you put in the music at the end, and everybody goes, "What is that?" And it takes a while to get used to the new music, but with this, Joe just kind of found that, and he had an amazing group of musicians, and just kind of all fell together.
Your style is so elegant. You don't draw attention to yourself. At the top when I was saying a lot of young filmmakers, and I realized this was your third or fourth film. Third film. They show off. Look at me, hire me to do. Look at all the stuff I can do. This is very elegant. The whole thing. You draw no attention to your own style at all. Is that
absolutely by design? I want to, if I've done my job, nobody notices, because I feel like I want to be sort of very voyeuristic. And, I remember reading this, I think I talked my daughters into reading this book. It was by Dimitri on film, I think. And I remember in the book he said the most important shot in all filmmaking is the over-the-shoulder. And I thought, well, that's not a very dynamic shot. Why would that be the most important shot in filmmaking? But what it does is it kind of, and then, of course, a great movie about camera position is Chinatown. There's like 3 shots in that movie. There's close-up of Jack Nicholson, over Jack Nicholson's shoulder, who's he talking to, occasionally a master, and then a point of view. And I had done a couple of movies by that point, and I was trying to figure out, and I thought, we're not gonna have a lot of time to edit this film. And then, I had the great fortune of working with Jeff Jura, the great Jeff Jura, for the first time, and he was so good at moving the camera, and I hadn't really had that experience before. So we tried to just, I'm also, just like we tried to, play as many things as we could in the master. You'll notice there's not that many close-ups. And, I think we had a total of like 5 weeks to shoot the film. So, we'd start on inserts and pull back. And so there's a lot of movement but hopefully it just, the story kind of plays out. And
Well, like one scene, for example, that I just think is so fabulous is the meeting scene in the bar, in Ray's bar,
right,
where she sits down in the booth and Peter you're stalking in front of her, and you just see his reflection moving in the mirror. And it's so great because you just have this one static shot, but you're getting the full dynamic of this pursuit. And then you go to the close-up when he bends down and delivers his money line.
right. Right.
Peter, we're not going to ask you to come up here and take your trousers off, but would you like to join us? Because I'd love to hear your perspective on making this film and working with Linda.
So emotional watching that.
What was it like? Is this
Like,
when was the last
I'm
time
here
you
with
saw
my
it?
friend Maya, and I'm just upset. Oh my God, who was that? I don't know if you guys have ever had a chance to watch something of your. It's almost impossible. It's like such a unique experience. I don't know that I ever saw this on the big screen. Did we premiere it in New York at the Paris Theater?
Did you and Linda went to Deauville, I think, and watched it?
I was so drunk, I don't remember. Deauville Film Festival. But it's just really powerful and beautiful, and I have such really great memories of you. You're so kind. He's the sweetest, most gentle, and when he says he doesn't want to get in the way, he means it, and it warms my heart to see you here and to see the movie, so I'm very happy.
We all want to know what it was like playing with Linda in this, because she seems like she's so kick-ass, take charge and everything, that it almost feels like she is directing the movie in some respects.
I was so scared of Linda Fiorentino, I mean, every day, truly terrified, and she was so sweet. When we did the scene where I was bragging about my size, and then she's like, okay, come here. And she unzipped my pants, and on my close-up, she had a handful of ice, and she fully grabbed me. Like, we didn't have intimacy coordinators back then.
No.
And if you watch that film again, look at my close-up, because she got at it, and she was the boss. And the other moment I remember, tell me if you remember this, we were getting ready to shoot the love scene on the chain link fence.
Is that what that was? That was the love scene?
Yeah, that was a love scene.
One of them, yeah.
And we were out, we'd been inside the bar. We didn't have a lot of money, right?
No.
I don't think we had any money. Did we have?
No, we didn't have
No money.
No.
But so we moved out to shoot the love scene, and the trucks were there, and the sun was coming up, and we're going to do this love scene. And I'm like, well, hold up. And John's like, just go over there and, you guys figure it out, but I need you to have sex quickly because the sun's coming up. And I'm like, well, but I gotta talk about this, and and you were, I think, understandably a little annoyed with me, as I recall, because you were going to lose your scene, and I wanted to talk about it and the motivations and what I thought. And Linda, she literally said, "Peter, shut the fuck up and take your pants down and get against the fence." And she just climbed up and that was it. I did whatever she told me.
As I recall, you said, this is just going to be pornographic. This is just kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I think Peter's going to be very funny.
Yeah.
Because I said, because we had the camera so far away. I don't know if you remember.
No, yeah, I remember it was just all
And
kind of a
then the
haze.
couple walked through, and you had to be quiet.
Yeah, but wasn't the light coming up?
Oh, yeah.
We were running out of time, and
I think we did like maybe 1 or 2 takes. Yeah.
Well,
She's
she was
incredible.
up there, excuse me for saying this, but she was proving that you were really hung like a horse, because she was up pretty high, and you were still getting some action
Well,
there.
now, this is what I remember. I said, Linda, how did you get Peter to do that? She said, on the dismount, I just made him really, really big. That's what she told me. Hung like a horse.
This is the first time on this film I was nervous, and Eric Heffron was our first AD,
Yes.
wonderful friend of mine, and I've worked with him a lot, but I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing, but this is really the first job I ever had, and I had ideas, but I was scared. And I was very scared when we were doing our first love scene, and Eric, I was having somewhat of a junior panic attack in my little honey wagon room, and Eric came, and we went to college together, Eric and I. And he told me, he said, look, I said, I'm scared. I'm scared of Linda, I'm scared of John, I'm scared of my mom, I'm scared of everybody, I don't know, he's like, okay, here's what you do. And I did what he read in the Michael Caine book about advice on actors doing love scenes. Do you guys know this? It says that what you do is you go to knock on the door, and I knocked on Linda's door. This is right from Michael Caine. And I said, hey, we're doing our scene today, and I just want to tell you that I want to apologize in advance if at any moment during this love scene I get an erection. I'm going to apologize in advance. And I also want to apologize if I don't.
Good advice.
Right? That's Michael Caine. So there's advice to anybody.
Well, I think there was a fair amount of sex in this movie, and the studio really wanted it to be a sexy thriller. And these kinds of movies are hard to do, and I don't think people understand. It's challenging for the cast to do these things too. I kind of look at their like stunts in a way. You have to get your hands in the right place.
But we did that.
So but you guys were really very professional about it.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm actually proud of is I'm remembering, because we're directing now, and these times of sensitivity, and as there should be, and intimacy coordinators have made a joke, but you've worked with them, I've worked with them, and I understand the reason for it. But it's nice to, think back on this film where there were no intimacy coordinators, there were no rules. We could have done all the drugs in the world and had them in the camera truck, which we probably did. Did we? No. Okay, we didn't. But, we really work like professionals, and I'm proud of that.
Well, I think you really kind of just was the 3 of us, and you and Linda really kind of working everything out. One of the things I like about it is that I love that scene where she says, tell me about your wife. I love the emotion that you put into those scenes and the thought. I think that really kind of endears you to your character, I thought. Everybody agree, or?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because the tricky thing about stories like this, and about noir in general, is you're dealing with extremes of human emotion, extreme behavior. Your job selling, essentially representing the audience and saying, how can you do this? How can you call people on the phone and do this? It's like that's what the audience is thinking, And it's so important to have actors be the audience's avatar and sell the material, sell how preposterous the plot actually is, but it's so damn satisfying the way it all fits together. And that's where, you guys are both now directors, right? So that's the most valuable thing actors give to you, right? Is you're gonna make the audience believe this. And man, you sell it like $1 million of this movie.
if the actor doesn't believe it, the audience won't. So, yeah, it's very critical.
What made you decide to become a director and stop acting?
I think if I could define the moment where it actually was like, okay, this is now over. I was on Chicago Hope, which is, medical drama, and thank you. And we were this, big medical drama on CBS. Thank you. And every Thursday night at 10 o'clock, we went up against ER, and every Thursday they beat us. And they would get 38 million people every Thursday night watching the show. And we would get 30 or 29.5, and we come in second, and we were furious, right? Furious, and those numbers were so big. And I was starting to get like TV famous as an actor. My character name was Billy, and wherever I went, people would be like, hey, Billy, what's up? Hey, Doc, and I was starting to think my legacy was gonna be Billy Cronk on Chicago Hope. And I was starting to get uncomfortable, and I'd met and paid attention to so many people like John that I'd seen, and I'd seen a lot of directors on Chicago Hope, but starting to think about something else. I was on a plane flying from LA to New York, and I'm sitting in my seat, and this guy walks by me, stops, and says, hey, Billy, my wife has this really bad rash. Baby, show him the rash. And this woman pulls up her shirt and sticks this horrible rash in my face, and the other passengers were like, what's the rash, Billy? And that was it. That was the beginning of me.
That might be the greatest how I became a director story I've ever heard. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to just keep talking to these guys. We're going to have you back and talk about, we're going to do a whole John Dahl retrospective at some point, and we'll do all this stuff.
A master,
ladies and gentlemen,
a real master.
Absolutely, one of the best directors working today. John Dahl, Peter Berg, give it up.